Welcome to another episode of Out Loud and Laughing. Get ready. It's Bryan and Jon, two gay cousins having big talks and even bigger laughs. Join us. Let's see what they're up to. It's Out Loud and Laughing. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Out Loud and Laughing. How are you, Bryan?
Hi, John.
Hello.
How are we doing?
We are doing great. I have so many things to catch you up on. I know so many things I want to catch you up on.
Should we start there?
Sure, why not? I joined a gay volleyball league.
Oh, was the straight one full?
Yes. Unfortunately, they got kicked out of that one. They said I didn't handle the balls the right way, but
I mean, volleyball is truly the gayest sport because you're grabbing a lot of balls with your hands and you're wearing knee pads. So, how's it going?
our team name is literally called Bruised Knees.
It, it literally writes itself.
It writes itself. No, the reason why I'm so excited to share it is because this afternoon I just got back from hanging out with them. We went to go play Top Golf, and I have new friends, and they're sweet, and it's just making me happy.
Honestly, I remember when I moved to the city years ago and I did gay softball. And I had a great team. It was like a mix of ages from like young to old, and I definitely started dating one of them back in the day, which was kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm not, that's another great update is I'm off all of the applications, and so,
Okay. Okay. You're
uh,
doubling down on balls and knee pads.
yeah, well, I figured I'm gonna double down on balls in real life instead of virtual balls. And so yeah, so it's just been like kind of nice to meet people in real life and
Yeah.
have a good time.
One word of advice, not that you're asking, but I'm giving is if you're gonna date anyone in gay volleyball, make sure they're not on your team. Because I ended up dating someone on my team, and when it didn't go well, the games were not that fun more.
So, side note about this afternoon's Top Golf excursion. When I got there, I saw somebody who I had hooked up with before, and I was like, "Oh, you're on the team?" And he's like, "No, I'm her brother." And I'm like, "Oh," and it was a girl that's on my team's brother. So it all has already begun.
Yeah, it's kinda like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, but hey, he's not on your team, so that's a win.
And I will say, like, he's a very, very cool person. I've seen him out in public a few times actually, and each time
Yeah.
been really nice and cordial. And today was no exception. And he's a really cool. He's a young kid, but it was a good time today. And I heed your warning because I do know how that could just add drama to it. Something that's bringing
Yeah.
joy.
It's it makes it awkward. I don't really have any updates. Oh, I do have an update. My hands smell like bleach right now
So like what?
because bleach,
Okay.
um, killed someone, didn't wanna get caught.
I was gonna say, why
Um,
didn't you call me? I do not have a missed call.
right, I would help you. Um, I mean, you actually will relate to the story because, yesterday, Ollie decided to throw sand down the sink, and you can tell your little story about Ollie when you were visiting, but obviously sand will sit at the bottom of the pipe of the sink. So I manned up. I got a screwdriver. I took the pipe out from under the sink and I cleaned all the sand out and I saved myself 200 bucks.
Who are you?
I am so manly.
Bryan, you just won like 4 Butch points in 2025. I'm so proud of you. You're winning.
Well, while I gained man points, I feel like I lost gay points, but I'm okay with the balance, honestly.
So when I was visiting you and the guest bath downstairs toilet
Would not flush.
would not flush, and I just was like, I don't even know what I was doing. I just kept sort of
Mhm.
fumbling with it. And what's really interesting about that specific toilet is it has that wave-o-matic automatic flush thing, so it's not normal. So I really didn't want to mess with it too much. So I was like, let me just plunge this thing. And I'm sitting there plunging it, plunging it, plunging it, plunging it, and I see something come out, and it's one of Piper's antlers. He put an antler
Oh.
down there, the poor little kid. But reminds me of that beautiful book. Actually, this is a really, really I didn't think that it would work out this perfectly, Bryan, because I do
Yeah.
we've come here to talk about something. There's a not
Yeah.
bigger something in the room, but I don't know if you remember that book, of the "I love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as your mommy, your mommy." Do you know which book I'm talking about? It's like
Yeah, my we have 2 versions. Well, not for 2 versions, 2 copies because Kenzie has one, Ollie has one, and I remember my mom would always read it to me,
do you remember the
and
title of it?
I do. I thought you just said it. What?
I'm not good. I don't think I said it verbatim. It was like, "I'll love you forever. I'll like you for I'll love." Anyway, what made me think about it was like the little boy always throwing things down the toilet and like and
Yeah.
sort of doing all these things growing up, and you know that these just really become stories. And
Yeah, it's true. I looked it up. It's just called Love You Forever.
oh, there you go. Well, I guess that I was reading. I
Yeah.
was trying to memorize the stanza. I believe that's within the book.
But yeah, I think it's interesting, and this does lead into our deeper topic for the day. Well, not deeper topic, but we definitely want to bring it to the pod because you and I are complete open books, and we do
Yes.
not give a shit. We share everything. But I used to read that book with my mom, I remember, and it felt like the beginning of the book I can relate to, but obviously the middle end just was so unrelatable because we were young. But then you fast forward and you're like, "Shit, that is deep now," because now we are getting to that age where we could start cradling and rocking our mom to sleep. So, it gives me the chills a little bit, but, yeah, I remember as a kid.
Well, with that beautiful sentiment and sort of recollection of your experience with the book, would you mind sort of sharing some of the bigger news that has occurred within our family within the past week?
Yeah, so everyone knows that John and I have the same dads and this not same dads, our dads are brothers, excuse me, and our moms are sisters. So,
Our dad's our
we
big dad, to be fair.
yeah, that's true. Fair, fair. Different episode. And so another episode that we will get into at some point was we don't really talk to our grandparents too much on our dad's side, but on our mom's side, our grandmother and grandfather we were raised with. And so very close to them. They both migrated with our parents, our mothers, over from Cuba back when our moms were probably 5 or 6, like younger, pre-elementary school. And so yeah, we were raised close to her. I wouldn't say she raised us because she actually only spoke Spanish.
Yep.
She was a very hard worker. She loved cleaning. Like, I actually think she actually loved cleaning. Like, she did it for work and she did it for money because she had to, but she also just loved cleaning all the time, and she was just such a powerhouse for our family,
Mhm.
even though she could barely, like, communicate with us specifically. Um, but yeah, so she was I remember going down to your house many years ago, which turned 90, and I believe was it this year? Was she turning 93 or 94?
She's going to 93 in October.
93 in October. And so John and I learned that last Friday, she passed
Mhm.
and she is no longer with us. It's sad. And John and I will talk about that. But we also want to reiterate she was 93 and she lived a very full life. And so while it's sad that she's gone, I think the last few weeks and months, she wasn't in the best health and probably in slightly like a little bit of pain. So it's for the best. But we just John and I have been talking a lot about it through text and through phone just to see how check in on each other. And it's uncovered some interesting things, both funny and both sad and just realizations.
Yeah. Yeah. And going back really quickly to just sort of underscore her life in terms of like, being such a hard worker, yeah, she worked hard in cleaning all these other things, which I totally agree with. I want to just add as well, that she knew how to keep a home.
Mm,
She was like this unbelievable cook. She had a green thumb like no other. She just always had abundance of stuff, even though they didn't have abundance. Um, and to do that, like, I feel like there's some like inherent magic to some degree. And I'm only like sort of considering this now, sort of in nostalgia, but like she worked
yeah.
out of magic, right? Like she was able to make something out of nothing. And so, and what a great life. I mean, to use the something out of nothing metaphor, I mean, having immigrated from Cuba, brought over six children, right?
Mhm.
5 girls,
Yeah.
yeah, 5 girls. Is it 5 girls or is it 5
Uh,
total? 5 total.
no, 5 kids, 5 kids. So
Right.
we have 4 daughters and 1 son.
4 daughters and a son.
Yep.
I was actually talking to your brother about that the one of the images that I was unable to get out of my head
Mm,
was this mother corralling these children on this
yeah.
journey and sort of what was going through her mind and sort of how she was feeling. And was there like a sense of hope or hopelessness or like fear? Like, I'm sure it was just a conglomerate of all the emotions, but a lot to talk about here for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I was trying to think of, like, a funny metaphor for her because, again,
Yeah.
she was so, like, she loved cleaning and she did take care of the family, so, like, something that I came up with was, like, death death tried to sweep her away, but Abuela grabbed that broom and said, "I could do a better job."
She said, I got it. Let me
Yeah, I
here.
she goes, "Not that broom, I'll do it." Only because I think it's funny because she she had many, like, issues, like, probably the last 10 years where she almost did pass, right? So, like, talk about cat with 9 lives, like, she was a strong ass
Not with
bitch.
9 lives. I literally used to tell people that she was like La Cucaracha, like, she just would never die, like,
It's
I
true.
I think she was like COVID OG patient. Like, remember when she was in the hospital pre-COVID,
Yeah,
a few months and, like, literally about to die?
yeah,
Yeah, this woman
I
was
know.
magic.
Listen, if heaven's floors weren't spotless before, they are.
Well, uh, uh, definitely putting a whole new meaning around spick and span.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I mean, for anyone else listening, we lost a subscriber today, but
Yeah,
we are very
our only subscriber.
our only subscriber, but we love Abuela. We actually called her Abuela, that which is, for those who don't know, it's Spanish for grandma, and that's all we knew her. We never used the term grandmother at all. And even my kids call her Abuela.
Yeah.
So, which was actually interesting because I had to talk to him about it today, which I
I was
hadn't.
gonna see where you were at with that, and if that was something you and Adam had discussed, or if you were gonna share it with them.
It's a good question. I didn't discuss it with Adam. I did it on my own. Probably should have. We've had some other death that the kids have been close to, but no one that was close to us, so we didn't really say anything about it. But yeah, we talked about it today. I just said, Abuela is no longer with us. And they're asking questions like, "Where'd she go?" And it was very innocent because they were both like, you know, "Where'd she go?" And I said, "Oh, she's in heaven. She's an angel now." And
What did
Kev, I
they
mean,
say?
Kenzie's a little more like, I guess, smarter and more in tune. But she was like, "Oh, but if she's that angel, that means she died." And I was like, "Well, she did, and she's not, and she's in heaven, and you can't really see her anymore unless you like close your eyes and dream about her." Which that was beautiful.
That is
But
actually beautiful.
but then Ollie, being the 3-year-old he is, he was like, "So she didn't take her chair with her?" Mind you guys, our Abuela the last probably 3 or 4 years sat in the same chair all the time in her apartment. So Ollie was just like, "So she didn't take her chair with her?" Uh, I thought it was so innocent.
So, Ollie,
And then Ollie was also like, "Well, then I wanna go to heaven because the grandma's there, Abuela's there, I'm gonna go to heaven." And I was like, "Well, Ollie, I want you on Earth a little bit longer, so we're not going to heaven yet." He's like, "I don't wanna be here, I wanna go see Abuela." So we had again, it's so innocent, so I'm just,
another thing
saying,
that Oliver and I have in common is just trying to get off this flying rock.
just go all in. It was innocent. Basically, like, I've said, like, if you wanna see her, there's pictures in the house, and if you close your eyes, you could dream about her, and so they're okay with that for now. Um, but they were definitely like questioning like the idea of physicality versus not being here physically anymore, which I understand. And it is confusing. And honestly, as an adult, it's confusing to me too. Right. So,
And I also find another interesting twist of events here, whereas like you are explaining this to your children, but then you and I
mm,
have also sort of assumed a new role as well, which I did not see coming. I really didn't.
mm,
Of,
what role?
of being there for our moms.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So like you're like sort of like taking your children along this journey, and our mothers are experiencing this, the loss of their own mother, but like sitting sort of at the precipice of which we sit as like 40-year-old men, and you who have a family, whatever, that we have this relationship with our moms, and now seeing
Yeah.
them go through this pain is almost like, and I'll speak for myself, like, and I'd love to hear sort of your experience too, but I have like seen within my mom sort of this level of acceptance, and I can accept that in her, but I also keep reminding her that, she doesn't have to be strong for anybody. That this is
Mhm.
such a poignant moment in her life, regardless of whether or not it's drastic or not drastic, what's what I'm looking for, I was telling you, she's not distraught by it because it was brought on very slowly and in a timely way. She almost died naturally in a sense,
Mhm.
in hospice, so everyone was prepared for it, but I keep reminding her, I'm like, "Mom, like, grief is gonna come in stages and waves, like, it's not gonna be instantaneous, there's gonna be months down the road where you're gonna wish you would have told her something." I was like, "Just know that I'm here for you too now, and if you need something, you can, like, reach out to me and we could talk about it. Like, I'm not sure if that's exactly what you need, but I'm offering it to you." So I didn't see that as sort of being part of this my own grieving process.
Yeah, I mean, like, same. So I just for some background, like, our grandfather, our abuelo, died many years ago. Not many, but, like, probably, like, 6 or 7, like,
No,
a pretty long time,
almost a decade, literally almost.
almost a decade, but he also had a slower death. He was kind of bedridden and not really speaking or even really like, he was more like a vegetable for, like, a good couple of years prior, so we all definitely had that slow burn to say bye, and so almost towards the end, it was like, "You just gotta go because there's no quality of life." So our grandmother was alone, and then I think she found, like, a second wind of life
Her
because
moment.
this is all it was pre-COVID, so she was almost put in a home, but it was like a home where she was able to, like, be with other people and do art and stuff, which is really beautiful because it showed at that age, you can still kind of do it all over again,
Yeah.
versus feeling alone. But I agree. So, obviously, I think COVID put her through the ringer because she just became more, like, introverted and didn't really wanna see anyone, which can be very lonely, outside of the visitors you get every so often. And so, yeah, I think what was the most eye-opening thing for me was that, A, yes, our moms lost their mom, which it's hard to fathom because we're not there yet, knock on wood, but it's more so, how do we cope with understanding that now our parents are next in line, which is morbid to think about, but it is, while also, to your point, trying to support our mothers? Because we're also going through it, like, we have our own feelings about this, personally. But yeah, I also checked in with my mom. Um, and so very, very much the same tone as you. Like, I'm here for you. I knew for the last few weeks slash months that things were going south, as we kind of all did. But I made sure I told my mom, like, say everything you want to say. Like, do all of that and make sure that every moment you see her is the last. And she did that. And so I think she's also at peace with it because she was able to, like, spend time knowing that every single time she visited with her, it could be the last, so she would say things, she would ask for questions, like, all those things. So,
And
not great.
your mom actually was able to spend a lot of time with her leading up to
Yeah.
the end.
Well, my mom's retired and yours isn't. So, my mom was able to spend time, like, on a weekday going up during the day and stuff, where your mom was kinda siloed to, like, a weekend for the most part. So, yeah, my mom was able to just be more present as often as she wanted to be, where your mom was kinda tied to a schedule, but I think they both got their moments, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And, my mom, well, for some whatever reason, like just assumes this like, I don't know, she's just always on the phone. Like, it's so funny. I
Yeah.
just like, my mom for a living is a, administrative assistant, but like, I feel like in her life, she's an administrative assistant too. And she's just always
Fair.
log operating phase. And regardless of how that affects her or not, that's neither here nor there. But I just feel like she just was, like, always on the phone with her and, like, had just I think they all and but I also think it's really beautiful about Abuela was that she had such unique relationships with each individual, uh, oh, child, with each,
Yeah.
daughter, with each son. She did care for her children, which is evident rather, in sort of the way that our mothers have been affected, and they're sad. They're very, very sad.
Yeah. I mean, so first of all, she died with, like, having 15 or 16 great grandchildren.
I was wondering if you had counted.
I lost count, honestly, after, like, 12. I think Kenzie was number 12 or so, and there's been more after. So, I mean, she dying with grandchildren, but then 15 to 16 great-grandchildren, like, you lived a life, right? You got to see 4 generations, and even some of her great-grandchildren are probably not too far from having kids. So that's beautiful. I also like taking a step aside from all the negative or like not negative, but like sad stuff is she was a very happy person. Like, given everything she went through, because she had a hard life to your point. She picked up and moved with 5 kids to a country where she never learned the language. Like she kind of got by a little bit. And that had to be so scary, but I just remember whenever I saw her, she was always smiling, you know? And she was always happy, and I think that's a lesson for all of us that there's everyone's going through shit, but, she's kinda smiled through all of it knowing that she would get through it. Even
I've already had, I have already had have had some like phantom moments of just recalling her voice and her laughter
Yeah,
and yeah, um, and she was such a joyful woman, such an inclusive woman, and it made me actually it made me think about even talking about this because why not? I think this is such a great platform for it. But like
mhm,
this simple woman who was a farm raised girl in a really green, lush place in Cuba, like she left behind this the cutest book report that you bubbled up into a podcast, which is
yeah, yeah, I might post it for you guys.
I think we should definitely post a link for people to listen to.
Yeah,
Essentially, my grandmother in one of the senior centers like wrote like a quick little blip of her life and from birth till now. But anyhow, Brian turned it into using AI, turned it into an awesome pod. I mean, it's amazing. I've already let like 3 other people listen to it. It's really cool.
yeah,
But to think that this like simple woman who born on a farm, like went through this like immigration process, came to this country, all these things, and then like started to see like gay children in her family. Like, I wanted to
yeah.
ask you if you remember sort of like sharing with her the news about Adam and like someone with you and my ex. Like, I just remember her reaction was so funny. I wonder if you have a similar story around what yours was like.
No, it's funny because Adam and I actually talked about today, like, given, like I'm not to say, like, we're not accepted by our family because we are, but she was probably the most liberal. Like, it for her, she was like, "Okay." Like, it wasn't like she wasn't bothered by it. She's like, "Okay, I love them. They're great." Like, she was so welcoming to Adam, you know? She would even ask my mom about him all the time. So, it's so interesting, I guess, when she got to that age, I don't wanna speak for, like, anyone, like, our parents or anyone, but I feel like she got to that age and she was just like, "Why are people fighting this? Like, this is like, love is love," you know? So, I feel like she
You
was like
know,
our liberal
sorry, I cut you off with liberal abuela,
No, go ahead.
but I want to hashtag liberal abuela right now.
Yeah,
Uh,
liberal abuela with hanging titties.
no, no, when she found out about my ex and I,
Yeah.
she was at that same senior center where she wrote that thing, I guess, and she was like, "Oh yeah, all my friends at the senior center are gay," and I could just like picture this woman like I can like picture her being like all the gays flocking to her, like who wouldn't, you know?
Oh my god. Is our abuela the original fruit fly?
I
I
think
died.
I think Abuela puts fruit in fruit fly for sure.
She went from cleaning houses to getting the gays in order. I love it.
I mean, like, it does track though. I mean, the mess brings the fruit flies, and she comes in and cleans up the mess. She's saying, "I am the alpha and the omega."
Yeah. Oh my
I am the
god. She
alpha
is
and the
totally
abuela.
oh my god, this abuela, she's totally dusting halos right now. She's like, "Come over here."
She's like sewing people's like their broken ruffles. Yeah, she used to. She was a
Oh my god, she definitely brought the butter cookie tin with her to heaven, and she has all of her sewing in it, and she is totally saying, "Come over here. Nope, your wing looks a little like, let me get it together."
she is just taking heaven to the next level right now, honey. Yeah.
I mean, do you know the funny thing about all this is when she showed up to Heaven's Gates, our abuela was probably like, "Shit, I thought I was, like, in the clear right now. You're here already?"
Party's over.
You're like, 'cause she's probably like, "Get up. You need to do this, this, and this."
She's yelling at him.
Oh my god, she's definitely yelling at him. She probably showed up yelling at him.
He like heard her from the hospital bed as her soul was leaving her body. She was like rising up in anger at her husband. Like all these years.
She's yelling, saying, "No, I need to take my list that I've kept for 10 years."
Oh my god, that's amazing. Well,
What other good memories do you have though, really quick? Because I feel like we a little bit of background, and my mom stands by this. She's like, You never stayed a night over with your grandparents," which I don't know. I feel like I did, but at least I have memories of it. I at least have memories of them taking us to the movies, me and my brother, and we saw Sister Act 2, I believe,
and
back
he
in the
only
90s.
speaks zero of it because they didn't speak any English.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's why she was so beautiful. She took us to a movie that she sat in for an hour and a half and didn't understand any of it.
Although
Like,
I will say this, that they probably found it interesting because, when they immigrated here, they went to New
Mm,
Orleans, and mom and our moms, they both went to like did they go like a Montessori school or like a nuns
yeah, yeah,
or something? So like she probably just like, sat there and thought about those days of her life, you know?
literally.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, you and I, like, we were taught Spanish, and I think Spanish was my first language, at least my first word was agua,
Mhm.
and so but I lost it going to school just like you did, and you and I get by with it, but I wouldn't say we're completely, like, bilingual.
You know what I call,
Um,
when people ask if I speak Spanish, do you know what I tell them I speak?
what?
Vacation Spanish. Enough
See?
I on vacation. That's what I got.
It's so true. I speak enough to get by.
Yeah.
So I can get tipsy and pee easily with my Spanish. Um, but I remember, like, the way we would communicate with our grandparents, especially our grandmother, is we would just add an accent to an English word. Like, if we wanted something, we'd be like, "Yo quiero ice cream." That's not how you say ice cream in Spanish, but that's
You
and she learned to understand our Spanglish. So I feel like we met in the middle, right?
know, that's a great way of putting it, like we like for as close of a proximity of a relationship that we had with her and never really having full access to each other's languages, I do
Yeah.
think that we met in the middle quite a bit. And that just sort of let's just keep piling on the amazing things of this woman, like that she, you know, wanted to connect with her grandchildren so much that she sort of gave way of sort of any shame or whatever it would have been to not know how to speak English or to
Yeah.
not know what it's like to feel badly that you couldn't engage. She just tried every way. She really
Mhm.
did. It was
She did.
this is actually
Um,
you feel much different in a good way than I thought I was gonna feel coming out of this conversation. I mean,
I agree. Well, I her life was not in vain. She lived a long life. She was a very loving person. Like, you and I got to see her this past Christmas. It was the last one of the last times I think I saw her. I'm pretty sure for you too. And she showed up and she was again still in good spirits, you know?
yeah,
She showed up and she was the abuela that we know. She went right to the bathroom because she wanted my mom and your mom to change her into a nicer shirt
yep,
because and we all took pictures with her. So I think a part of her knew it was probably one of the last times, and we also kind of felt it. So it was a moment. We have pictures with her in her chair. She loved a good lounge chair. And so, yeah, I don't think it's sad that she's gone, but it's more sad that we'll miss her, not that she's gone, right? Because she was in pain, and I think that's the interesting thing about death is, like, as much as you and I could easily be selfish about, like, "Oh, I wish she was here longer," it's not fair to the person, and it's probably a lesson for all of us, like, your time's your time, and I don't know, 93 is a fucking good run.
it's a great run, full of like just unbelievable times, unbelievable memories. While I can like go into the treasure troves of thoughts and memories I have about her, which are so many, like stapling. She used to hammer. I don't know if you remember this, but because she was had such a green thumb, she grew every
Mhm.
fruit and vegetable that you could imagine in the world. Ones that you can't even get access to. I don't even. This woman was a smuggling, thing by the
Well, quick story
yeah,
on that, I'm gonna sidetrack you. She would go on walks around the block, and she would cut people's plants, snip it, and then bring it home and put it in a cup to
yeah,
grow it to then put it in her lawn.
yeah.
So she would steal people's plants all the time.
Straight up, and successfully so. And
Yes.
but, like, some of the plants in where they lived, because they lived in Florida, like, you have, like, rats and some other rodents that like to get to the fruit as they start to ripen. She would hammer, like, those plastic snakes that you get from the toy store, and she would hammer them on
Mhm.
the tree barks. I mean, I
Yes.
think all these old, like, tricks of the island, I'm sure that she had. I always sort of took a mental picture of, like, things that looked a little off, like, she would take, like, plastic bags that you get from the grocery store, and that's what she would use to tie plants back.
Mhm.
She was just resourceful, like, I don't know, I
She
always
was
sort of
very resourceful.
yeah, I had a keen eye for that. I got to play piano for them a lot, which was growing up, like, remember ol&l used to give, like, us $1 when we'd play piano for them. Well,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
um,
Yeah.
well,
Dude, there's
The Thursday before she passed away, I was able to do it for her again, so I was able to sort of just make some new memories for myself before she left as well, so, lots
that's
of
good.
great memories. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry to cut you off again.
No, you're fine. I think 'cause we have so many actually great memories that we're
Yeah.
just like, it's all kind of coming back. I also think the reason why you and I have never had a six pack is because we lived by her mantra. When you went to their house, it was always
Well, my
come
mom
ma,
well,
come
maybe
ma.
eat more,
And
eat
it
more.
was, and if your plate was empty, she would just walk back over and throw more stuff back on it. And if you didn't eat it, she'd get mad.
That's what
So we
I'm
would
talking
just keep
about.
eating,
Yeah.
you know?
Just
Uh,
and the food was so good. I wish I liked that kind of food back then because I remember like it wasn't sort of like our I don't know, like I guess our mom I guess we ate it at home as well. Our moms did make it, but like for some reason I'm an adult now. I knew this day would come, and now I'm probably gonna miss my grandmother's cooking, and now it's like not there, right? But
yeah.
so
Well,
many memories.
she's probably also up there, like, critiquing God's, like, casserole and, like, all of his menu
Oh,
items.
she's going around and changing recipes and stuff, you know.
She's like, "The clouds need more garlic."
The clouds need more garlic. Yeah, what a great opportunity. What a great play. You know, I almost feel like we just also made like a little time warp right here of her too.
Yeah.
Feels really nice.
I know, I agree. RIP Abuela. We love you.
So much.
We know you're listening, and we are looking for more subscribers, so if there's any angels up there that want to subscribe, we're in.
App like.
App like all platforms, we're
Wow.
good.
Oh
Uh,
gosh.
all right, well, thanks, guys, for listening. We appreciate everyone, and chat soon.
Yeah. We'll see you guys around.